Okay, so welcome to class, and today we're going to work with hips and hamstrings. So I think once summer is fully arrived, and we had to wait for Bellingham a little bit, but summer looks like it's fully arrived there. Our activities tend to be lots of hiking, walking, cycling, perhaps even getting in a boat and doing um, some kayaking, that sort of thing, up in if you're in Bellingham. So we're going to work a little bit with the hips and the hamstrings, strengthening and lengthening. But I also wanted to share with you a little reading by Thich Nhat Hanh before we get going. Because really, even though I've been having a lot of really intentional practices that are anatomical or physiological in nature, we all know that yoga has this different it has a different some different layers to it, and versus just exercise. And that is one of the things that for me makes the yoga practice special. So we're in kind of this funny place. We're in what is called a bardo, right? Our, if you know that word, our reality as we knew it has gone, and there's an uncertainty about how our reality will show up again. And there's a tendency for us to want to fill in the story instantly. And it's very hard to be patient, and let things, to find the ground beneath us. It's very challenging right now. And I really feel that. I'm quite a restless person. I like to have things planned. I like to have adventures. So I'm feeling very restless right now. And the invitation today, if you're feeling that as well, is to just observe that. So we shine the light of awareness in this practice. We shine the light of awareness on our thoughts, our feelings, and then we see what takes place with that observation. And if we can, we try not to change anything. We try not to place any judgment on what we're feeling or what we're observing in our thoughts. And like the sunlight, when the sun lights up everything, this light of awareness, this awareness that we bring to our practice, that it can light up everything as well. And sometimes light and dark are put in the same category as, say, like good and bad, sort of these opposites. But darkness still coexists with lightness, right? And the light absorbs the dark. It really absorbs the dark, and then that is where this sort of ultimate lightness resides. So we have to live with the harder feelings. We're building resiliency. We live with the restlessness or whatever it is, the uncomfortability that we experience. And we don't judge that. We just observe it. We just observe it. So often this will come up in our bodies when we're doing a practice, that we observe something that we want to change right away. So I'd urge you to perhaps just let things be, and work within the edges that allow you to be pushed, but not go into some kind of panic or pain or anything else like that. Okay? So with that, let's go ahead and lie on our backs on our mat. And we'll just begin. We've been doing a couple of classes. We've been doing this settling or sort of setting the sacroiliac joint. And we won't need to use our block or our strap today, but bring your knees up towards your chest and take your hands to the thighs, right by the knees, and just press your hands against your thighs and your thighs back into your hands. And then switch and take your hands to the top of your shins and press your knees into your hands, pull back with your hands. So this is an isometric movement. We'll go back and forth. And again, it's not a full 100% effort. Just moving back and forth and setting the sacrum, finding nice neutral sacroiliac joint. Okay, and then you can make a couple of fists, take that between your knees and press into your fists. And again, just about somewhere between 25 and 50%. Take your hands to the outside of your knees, press against your hands. And then just move back and forth a few times, pressing against your fists as they rest between your knees, and then pressing out against your hands. And noticing, maybe having an awareness of which one of these actions feels a little better to you. But for some of us, pressing in feels better. For some of us, pressing out against the hands feels better. Great. And then you can let your feet come to the floor and your legs long. And just rest your hands, rest the heel of your hand on your frontal, the front of your pelvis there, the hip pointers. And feel just for an evenness in your pelvis as it rests on the floor. Don't try to change anything, just feel for your body signature. Yeah? And then release your hands to your sides. Let your feet fall out. Here you might bring your hands in prayer above your heart, or you could put your hands just on your chest, one on top of the other. Close the eyes for just a minute. Watch your breath, observe your breath. And come to a place of understanding about what it is you want from this practice. What would you like in the long run? We sometimes call this the sankalpa, our intention. And then release your arms into the goalpost position. Take your feet and pull your toes back towards your shins. So the legs are in Tadasana. And then let's just move through the ways that the pelvis can move, the hips can move. So press through your right heel and let that right hip slip down. And then release and press through your left heel and let the left hip slip down. So it might be interesting if you wanted to put your hands back on your hip pointers as you press through one heel and then release and press through the other heel, just feeling the movement of your pelvis. So this is the balance in yoga and life as well, is that we want movement in the pelvis, in the sacroiliac joint. We don't want to be rigid, so we want some stability, but we also want some movement, some functional flexibility. Now, the next time you press through your left heel, draw the left arm over above your head and reach away with the left arm. So same heel, same arm, and then release that. Press through the right heel and stretch the right arm back. So back and forth just a few times. Just like that. And feel that you can create some length through your side body, through the side ribs, as you let the hip slip up and slip down. Good. And then let that go. Bring the soles of your feet to the floor. Soles of your feet to the floor. Legs about hip distance apart. Okay. And then you'll just lift your right pelvis, side of your pelvis up. So it might be that you engage your right buttocks to do that. Again, you could have your hands on your hip pointers to feel the movement, and then relax, and then press and lift the left hip pointer up. It's as if when we've done the little marble exercise, where I ask you to think about a face of a clock on your lower belly, you're moving the marble from 3 to 9. But you're really picking up one side of the pelvis. So you might press the opposite buttocks down to lift and move back and forth, side to side in this way. Just feel that movement there. Good. And then let that go. And now with your feet as wide as the edge of your mat, drop your knees side to side in this windshield wiper motion. Just softly back and forth for a few rounds. Arms can be beside you or in the goalpost position. And then the next time that your knees fall to the left, reach your right arm behind your head. Slide your right arm behind your head. So you'll feel an arching away from the floor on the right side. And then inhale, knees back up to center, arms back to the same position. Let your knees drop to the right and reach your left arm long. And then back to center. And then 2 more times in each direction, just at a pace that feels nice to you. Back and forth. Side to side. And then we'll meet back in the center. Great. Now from here, you can take your legs to the floor long again. We'll do a bit of this returning to Tadasana shape just to feel the work. And then draw your right knee into your chest. Now, you could use your hands here to really pull your knee into your chest, or you can just really hold the knee in towards your chest. Okay? Left leg could be long on the floor, or if that doesn't feel great in your back, just bend your left knee and place the sole of your foot on the floor. But feel for your pelvis evenly pressing into the floor. And then you're going to extend your right leg up to the ceiling, pointing your toes. Okay? And then we'll bend the right knee and flex the ankle and pull the knee in towards the chest. Inhale, straighten your leg towards the ceiling, point your toes. So we're going to move back and forth at a pace that feels nice for you. Each time you extend towards the ceiling, point your toes. Each time you come back towards your chest, flex at the ankle. Okay, and we'll do that about 10 to 20 reps. 10 to 20 reps. As we reach our leg towards the ceiling, we'll point the toes, and as we pull back, we'll flex the toes back towards the shins. Great. And you should feel some heat starting to build in your upper thigh, in your hip. Good. We'll let that go. Bring that leg down. One full breath. Just feel here. Observe. And then we'll take the left knee into the chest. Your hands could help here, or you could just bring it in with the strength of your hip flexor. And then as you point up towards the ceiling, straighten your leg. And then you'll bend the knee, flex the foot, bring the knee back towards the chest. So each time you inhale, you're going to reach out, exhale. So pressing up towards the ceiling, pointing the toes and flexing, and back and forth at a speed that works for you. Back and forth at a speed that works for you. It's really extending through the leg, pressing the feet away, and then coming back. Good. And then once you've done about 10 to 20 reps, take that leg back to the floor and relax. And then we'll bend the right knee back into the chest. And this time, as you extend your right leg towards the ceiling, flex your foot back, so pull your toes back towards your shins. And as you bend your knee and bring it towards your chest, point your toes. So press through the heel as you reach towards the ceiling, and then point your toes away as you bend your knee. Okay, so the opposite direction, and it might feel a little odd at first, but try to get as graceful as possible here as you work in this opposite direction. Okay, so reaching the leg towards the ceiling, push through the heel. You might feel some tension in the front of your shin. That's the tibialis anterior, and we don't work that very often, so it's good to do some work here. And again, you'll feel some heat building in the hip flexor and the quadricep. Good. And then you can let that leg down. Take one full breath. And then reach the left knee in towards your chest. And as you extend towards the ceiling, toes back towards your shins. And then bend the knee and point the toes. So the opposite work that we did in the first round. Okay. And see if you can flow with that. Make it as graceful as possible. So we kind of really work with moving at a speed that's skillful for us. Trying to do the little vinyasa in just the way it's described. And sometimes that means a little work for our brain, and that's okay. That's good for us too. Okay, a couple more times. As you reach towards the ceiling, you pull your toes back towards your shins. As you bend your knee, you point your toes. And then let that leg come onto the floor. Both legs into Tadasana. Take one full breath here. Okay, now we're going to inhale. Inhale the right leg up towards the ceiling and bring it across your midline. Your right shoulder will pick up, and then you can rest your foot on the floor and just simply slide your foot back to the Tadasana shape, rolling back onto your back. And then inhale your left leg up towards the ceiling, cross midline, and then you could keep your leg in the air as you bring it back around towards Tadasana. So two options. You can lift towards the ceiling, you'll cross midline. You can leave your leg in the air or rest it on the floor, And then you just bring your leg back around until your legs are in Tadasana. Again, let your leg down to the floor. Lift the other leg up, cross midline. If the lever's too long, just bend your knee as you come back and circle around. So we'll do a few times in each direction. And again, you'll come up, your shoulder will lift off the floor. As you come across midline, it's not really a deep twist. You were just warming up in the legs, in the hips. So come through. Inhale the leg up towards the ceiling and come around. Good. And let's go one more time in each direction. And coming back to Tadasana. One full breath. Great. Now bring your feet back to the floor, the soles of your feet back to the floor, about the distance of your hips. Inhale, let's take the right leg up. So now the left knee stays bent and the right leg is lifting towards the ceiling. Feel for the evenness of your pelvis here. As you start to let your right leg move out to the right, let your left leg with the knee bent move out to the left at the same angle. Feeling for both both sides of the pelvis staying neutral and even. Once your left pelvis picks up, you've gone too far with your right leg. So you're using the strength of the leg, the inner, you should feel a deep work in the inner right leg. And then bring the right leg across your midline and your left knee towards the right, so underneath. So the legs are kind of crossed. Feel for an evenness of your pelvis. And then release your right foot to the floor. Great. Same thing, other side. So inhale the left leg towards the ceiling. Pull your toes back towards your shins. Before you move, feel for an evenness in your pelvis. So now start to let the left leg come out to the left. Right leg, knee bent, comes out to the right. Keeping the angle of the legs relatively the same. And if your right hip picks up off the floor, you've gone too far with the left leg. Feel the work in the inner groin. And then come back to center. Cross your left leg across midline and bring your right knee behind towards the left. Pressing into your right foot and reaching through your left heel. And then come back to center and take your both legs long. One breath here in Tadasana. Okay, and then the last thing on our backs here, we'll come back to soles of the feet on the floor. All right, soles of the feet on the floor. And we're going to take our arms into the goalpost position. And then let your knees drop to the right. And press into your left foot like you're going to push the mat away. Then reach your left arm long. So now you'll have not only an opening in your left side body, but you'll be pressing and arching your back away from the floor. So your left buttocks comes away from the floor. Like you're almost like you're doing a mini half bridge posture. Release yourself back down to the floor, arms back in the goalpost position, knees facing the ceiling. Drop your knees to the left and firmly press the right foot away like you're trying to stretch the mat to the long side. Reach your right arm long behind your head So you have an opening now, right side body, but also you have this arch in the lower back. So you're arching away from the floor. And then come back to center. Come back to center. Let's try that one more time. And so as your knees drop to the right, the inside edge of your left foot is pushing on the mat, like you're trying to push yourself over to the right. Your left hip will lift up off the floor. Reach your left arm long. And then come back to center. And then knees to the left. Inside edge of your right foot stays on the floor, and you push like you're trying to push the mat. Make the mat a little wider and reach your right arm long. So you're arched away from the floor, and you've got all this length through the right side body. Good. And then come back to center. And now crossing at the ankles or taking your knees to one side and using your hands to press yourself up. Rock yourself up to a seat. Okay. All right. Now from here, try to give you a couple of different orientations with this. You're going to take your right leg and you're going to line up your shin as much as possible with the short edge of your mat. So your leg is at a 90-degree angle. And then you'll probably have to lean back on your hands here. And you're going to do the same thing with your left leg. So you have a 90-degree angle and the shin is lined up with the long edge of your mat. Now this is where, for some of us, you might have to sit your left hip up on a blanket of any height. You'll have to play with that a little bit to set that up, okay? So take your hand, your left hand to your hip, and your right hand to the outside of your right thigh. And then just begin to spiral from the lower back, spiral the left hip up and towards your right leg. So if you need to sit up, or you are sitting up, if you need to look over here and see what I'm doing here. So I'm spiraling here. And then when I feel like I'm pretty turned towards this right leg, I'm going to bring both hands in front of that shin and just fold slightly. Just fold slightly. I won't be all the way to the floor. Most of us won't be all the way to the floor. Now, feel the work in your outer hip, outer hip. Now press your leg into the floor. So the right leg, press it into the floor as if you're trying to press the floor away. And feel the change of the work in your hip. Okay, and now try to pick your leg off the floor, your right leg off the floor. It won't go anywhere. Just try to pick it up. Just try to pick it up. It won't go anywhere. And then sit up, lean back on your hands, and pick your right leg up. Set it back down, lean forward, and pick your left foot up. Maybe you won't go too far. You'll feel the work in your glute, and then set that foot back down. And then going to go back and forth a little bit. So lean back, pick up the front leg, the right leg. Set that back down, come forward, pick up the left foot, the left shin. Okay, we'll try that one more time. So lean back, pick up the front foot. And then come back, set that down, pick up the back foot. Good. And now you'll come through, back up to center, open up the left leg and set your knees down as much as possible, coming forward, and you're in a wide Baddha Konasana, a wide butterfly. Take your ankles and then try to separate. You're not going to move anywhere. It's just an isometric movement. Try to separate your feet away from one another. Great. And then you'll roll over so that you're setting up on the other side. So now left shin lines up relatively with the short edge of your mat. And the right leg is bent at 90 degrees as well. And the shin is relatively parallel with the long edge of your mat. Okay? And again, you might have to sit up on something, put your hips up on something. And if your legs aren't exactly in that parallel position, that's okay. Hand to the right hip, left hand to the outside of the left thigh, and you'll start to spiral towards the left leg. You'll spiral and open towards the left leg. Go slow to get this movement to happen. We want there to be that stability, right, in the SI joint. Then you'll fold over that leg just a little bit, just a wee bit. Aha. And then press into your left leg. Press your left leg into the floor and feel the work in your legs. Remember that we just want to shine the light of awareness. Good. Now from the same position, just try to lift your leg. Try to lift your leg off the floor. It won't go anywhere, but you should feel some different work. And then walk your hands back. Hands come behind your body. Lift that leg. Maybe this leg doesn't lift as high as the other one. Maybe it lifts higher. Set it down, come forward, lift the back foot. Right foot lifts up. And then set that down, and then come back to your hands, lift the front leg, the left leg. Ooh, for me, very much different side, different pattern. Coming forward, lift the back foot and leg, and then set that down. And then one more time, we'll lift the left leg, set it down, come forward, lift the right foot and shin. Great. And then we'll do that same thing. We'll open up into this big Baddha Konasana. Take our hands to our ankles. Try to separate your feet. Try to pull your legs apart, your feet apart, but they don't go anywhere. It's like they're glued to the mat. Great, feel that, good. And then turn yourself so that you're in the long edge of your mat, legs together, and draw your calves down, 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 sort of spread out your calves as you pull your toes back towards your shins. Again, you might be sitting up on something here. Take your hand to the inside of your thigh, rock yourself to one hip, internally rotate your thigh, internally rotate the other thigh, and press your whole hamstring into the floor. See if you can connect the whole backside of your leg into the floor in this Dandasana. Press your heels down into the floor and isometrically pull your heels back towards your hips. And this might be as far as you can fold forward. We're not too interested in getting into the forward bend here. Just want you to feel the action in your legs. Great. And then from here, we'll bring our feet out to the side and come up on to standing on our knees. Okay, so you might want a little padding under your knees if your knees are sensitive or you're on a hardwood floor. And then from here, take your hands to your hips. And let's go through the pelvic tilting that we do on the floor. So tilt your pelvis forward, drawing your pubic bone away from your navel, creating an arch in your back, and then tilt your pubic bone towards your navel, coming back, that's a posterior tilt, and move back and forth a little bit with that tilt forward and backward, and then find neutral. Find neutral. Great. And now here, from this position, put your weight into your right knee and lift your left knee off the floor. And then it might be quick, and then put your weight into your left knee and lift your right knee off the floor. And just do that a couple of times. Feel what has to happen in the outer hip to keep that balance. Back and forth a few times. Good. Great. All right, so now from here, we're going to put our weight into our let's go left knee. Put your weight into your left knee. Pick your right foot up and set it forward. Set it forward. So you're in what I call proposal pose. Interlace your hands, reach up through your arms and stretch your palms towards the ceiling, finding the neutral pelvis. Press your front foot into the floor, press your back shin, your left shin firmly into the floor, and side bend to side bend in the direction of the front leg, the right leg. So you're side bending here, good. And then come back to center. Good, release your hands. And now finding good balance, you're gonna lift your left foot, bring your left hand back, and maybe both hands back, and pull that foot in towards your buttocks. Maybe you have to grab the edge of your pants, okay, but we're stretching the left leg. Now let the foot go and just hold it there as close to your buttocks as possible. Hold it there. Hold it there. Set it down. Take your hands down around your right foot. Tuck your toes under and press up into a lunge. Good. Now, you might have to change the position of your feet. You might have to make your stance shorter, but straighten the front leg and fold over the front leg in a pyramid shape. And then inhale, bend your front knee, come back into the low lunge. And go back and forth with that just a few times. Great. And then the next time you're forward, you're in your low lunge, turn your left foot, bring your hands around in front of your body, turn your right foot, and come into this mariachi position. So you could try to balance here. So right knee bent and right elbow inside the knee and left leg long. And then you can try to move to the other side with just your legs, or you can take your hands to the floor, press up, and move in the other direction. Good. Now, once you're in this other direction, pivot around and come back to the low lunge. So now left leg forward, low lunge, same thing. We'll extend the front leg, coming into a pyramid shape. And then bend the front knee, coming back to the low lunge. And we'll do that one more time. Come back to your low lunge, drop your right knee down to the floor, and come up into the proposal pose. So right leg forward, left leg bent, interlace your hands in the opposite grip, reach up through your arms, shine some light of awareness on your low back, and take a note if you're overarching through the low back. So keep your pelvis neutral, right? In fact, you might even try some pelvic tilts here, and then find neutral pelvis, reach through the palms, and then side bend towards the left leg or towards the side of the left side. So you're side bending over and then come back to center, and now press into the front foot. You'll have to lean forward probably a little bit, reaching back for the back foot. Bring your heel up towards your buttocks, pressing into the front foot for stability, and hold this here for a couple of breaths, and then release your hands. Use the strength of your hamstring to pull your heel towards your body. Again, noticing what's happening in the pelvis. What's happening in the pelvis. Great, and then you can drop that foot down and then put your weight into your right knee. Lift your left knee up, set it down, and then drop your hips to your heels. Very nice, good. And then we'll come, let's warm the hands up a little bit. Let's interlace the hands and just make some figure eights. And then press through the palms, reach up and release, and come forward into all fours, taking your knees underneath your hips, taking your hands as wide as the edge of your mat. Turn your toes under, press your hips back, and come up into downward facing dog. So feel that you can press the front of your thighs to the back of your thighs. Feel like you're pressing, so really squeeze muscle to bone and press the front of your thighs through to the back of your thighs. On your next inhale, just begin to walk your feet forward. And if you can, with your knees bent, see if you can line up all 20 nails. All 20 nails. Good. Inhale, take your hands to your shins and reach your crown long. And exhale, fold again. Pressing into your feet, inhale to sweep the arms up. Go slow, and exhale, release hands to heart center. Good. Now, you can stay on your mat for this next part or move to the carpet if it's because it'll be a little bouncy. And we'll start with just a simple balance and work for the hips. So put your weight into your right foot and really squeeze muscle to bone and just lift your left foot off the floor and bring it forward. So pointing your toes, and then bring it out to the left, and then bring it back behind you, and then bring it behind the back leg, maybe, and then come back around in the same circular motion. Cross in the front, come back to forward, to the side, to the back, and you could keep the foot in the air the whole time, or you could touch down. Just need to... Okay, and then let's try the other side. So put your weight into your left foot, reach your right foot out in front, really squeeze muscle to bone, pull the buttocks in, and then come around to the side, to the back, cross behind you slightly, back out to the side, forward, Cross midline again, and back. And set that foot down. Let's try it one more time on each side. And you could play with touching the toes down in each position, or you can see if you could keep the foot lifted. So firm up the leg, the standing leg, firm it up, draw the kneecaps up and draw the buttocks in. So really firm it up, and then left leg goes out. You can play with moving it through space a little quicker, although I think slower is actually harder. And a couple times on that side, and then other side. Weight firmly in your left foot. Just observing, how is my balance today? How do I get my standing leg to do its work? Good. Now, if you have a block, we'll play with the same sort of action with the block. So I'll have my block in front of me, and I'll step my right foot onto the block. And as I stand up and really pull muscle onto bone, I pull my buttocks in. I let my left foot hover. And then from here, and a book would work, or something pretty firm. I'm going to let my left hip sort of relax down. So I'll kind of relax down, and then I firm everything up again. And then I relax, and then I firm everything up again. And then I relax, and then I really firm the standing leg. Good. So you could also try this. If you had two really firm blocks, you could try it with two blocks. So stepping into the strength of my leg, really keeping the buttocks pulled in, and then relaxing, pressing up again, relaxing, pressing up again. Okay, so that's one sort of fun option. Or we can step up onto the one block, okay, and then we can bend through that standing leg, let the other leg just hang out, and then press up. And we'll do maybe 5 or 6 repetitions. So this is our hiking action, right? We step up, we firm the leg, we pull the buttocks in. And we do this repeatedly if we're going up a steep hill, all right? Or we're walking up, going upstairs. So we pull in, suck the buttocks in, and firm the leg. Great, and you can try that same thing on the other side. Firm the leg, bend the knees, press and pull your buttocks in as you firm your leg, your standing leg. Continue that pattern. Just a little firming of the leg while you're balancing. You could do the same thing without the block, right? Good. And then we'll take the blocks aside. Let's take one sort of vinyasa here. So inhale, sweep the arms up. And exhale, bend through your knees and come through center, down to the floor, fingertips to the floor. Inhale, flat back, leg through the spine. Exhale, fold again. Good. Hands to your hips, hinge up at the waist. Come on up to standing. Take a breath, get settled. And then we're gonna bend the left knee. So knees in line with one another. And if you have a wall here, this is fine. This is work for the hamstring, not necessarily balancing. So if you have a wall beside you, you could use a wall or move to the wall. So with the knee bent, bring your bring your foot as far possible in towards your buttocks like we did on the floor. Try not to let this leg move in front of the other leg. Keep the knees lined up. And then you're gonna do this. So bring the foot up towards the buttocks. And then you could add bringing the foot towards the buttocks and then the knee back and then back to center. So foot towards buttocks, knee goes back, back to center, release leg down. Foot towards buttocks, reach back, come back to center, knee towards buttocks, reach knee back. See if you can do this with the hamstrings versus the low back. And then when you've had enough of that, you feel the hamstring work, you can come to the other side. So starting with the legs parallel, bend through your right knee. Keep the knees parallel to one another. You'll bring your foot up towards your buttocks. You can do that a couple times. That could be the work for today. Try not to let the knee drift in front of the standing leg. And then if you want to add, pull the heel up and then the knee back, and then back, heel up, back to center, heel up, back. You might get a cramp in your hamstring, and hamstrings don't get as much work as quads. So this is good work for the hamstrings. And then you can let that go. Great. Come back to the top of your mat. Into Tadasana. Inhale to reach the arms up. Find the neutral pelvis. Exhale, fold through center. Inhale to halfway. Exhale to fold. Take your hands to the floor and step or jump back to downward facing dog. Bending your knees, press your hips back, lengthen through the arms, and slowly extend the legs. Pull the kneecaps up, 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 up. Really tighten muscle to bone here. And feel, this should feel kind of nice now to stretch through the hamstrings. Good, and then inhale, take the right leg out behind you. Bending at your knee, stack, so draw, so you're gonna stack the right hip over the left hip. And to do that, really, you wanna draw the left buttocks underneath your body, just like we did when we were on the block. Press into your left hand firmly. Release that, foot back down. Bend the knees again, press back, hips back, length through the arms, and then begin to straighten your legs. Feel the stretch through the hamstring. And then bend, extend the left leg out. Bend through the knee. Now, as you start to turn your hips, draw your right hip underneath your body, really. Like suck the buttocks in and then stack your left hip on top of your right. Press into both hands firmly, keeping your shoulders nice and square. And then release that foot back to the floor. And slowly again, walk your feet up towards your hands. Take your peace fingers, bend your knees deeply. Take your peace fingers around your big toes. Good. And then from here, you'll pull on your toes, press your toes into your fingers. Attempt to straighten the legs. Attempt to straighten the legs. And you might be able to come into a full straight legs, or you might keep the legs bent. Okay, but we're stretching now the hamstrings. And then release your hands, heel toe your feet apart. Drop yourself into a squat, hands to heart center between your legs. Press your arms into your elbows into the thighs and press back with the legs into your elbows. And then just drop right to your seat. Take your hands to the front of your legs and roll yourself down. Pull your knees into your chest. Okay, we're going to see how we did with getting the hamstrings fired up and ready to do some other work. So just a few more things here on the back before we relax. So now with your feet about hip distance apart, maybe a little further, look at your legs and make sure they're parallel to one another. Press into your feet and isometrically draw your feet apart. And then just lift the hips and bring them back towards the floor, but don't let them sit down. And repeat that just, 10, 12 times. So it's like you're going up to a bridge, but you just stop and then you just repeat that. Okay, and then come back all the way to the floor. Take your right foot to your left thigh. Okay, right foot to left thigh. And then press into your left foot and lift. Now, you could have your arms alongside your body, pressing into the floor. You could have robot arms. So press into your upper arms, fingertips point towards the ceiling. So this is sort of a half a bridge. And then lower yourself back down. Take both feet to the floor. And then left foot to right thigh. Press and lift. Really draw the strength of the buttocks into the movement. And then release back down. Instead of pulling your knees into your chest, take your legs long here. Take one full breath. And then bend the knees. So options here, we're going to do one strong bridge, but if you would like to, you could also take a block, press into your feet. I'll do this first. Press into your feet and just set the block right underneath your sacrum. Open up through your chest and let this be the beginning of relaxing for you. Okay, that's one option. And then the other option, for those of you that are still on your back waiting for the bridge instructions, really press into your feet, but draw your feet apart. Okay, draw your feet apart isometrically. Now, if you pick up your toes and you pull your heels back towards your buttocks, can you feel the hamstring? Reach back with your hand and feel the hamstring more engaged. And if it doesn't really fire up, try the other way. Press into your toes, lift your heels. For me, when I lift my heels, I can feel the hamstring engagement. I want to keep that engagement as I set the soles of my feet back to the floor. Okay, really keep that hamstring engagement. And then press into your feet and lift your hips. Press your arms into the floor. Draw your knees away from you. Feel the hamstring engagement. We want the hamstring to be involved, not just the glutes. So drawing the feet away from each other isometrically. You can take one shoulder blade under and the other. Keep the engagement in the hamstrings. Reaching, you can press into your arms and keep the robot arms, or you can keep reaching the shoulders underneath, interlacing the hands, pressing into the feet, isometrically drawing the feet apart. Lift the sternum towards the chin. Lift the chin up and away slightly. So you can even probably hear this in my voice. I just gave myself a whole bunch of more space in my throat. Press your fingers, your pinky fingers into the floor, lifting, lifting. And then to come down, we're going to lift the heels off the floor. Reach the arms up towards the ceiling, or robot arms with with pinkies or the fingertips reaching towards the ceiling, and roll down one vertebra at a time. Great. And then you can bring your knees into your chest here, rock back and forth slightly. Take a twist. So knees to one side, gaze to the other. Inhaling to center, knees go to the other side, gaze if possible to the other top leg. You could internally rotate that thigh, create some more space between the ribs and the hip. And then anything else you need, if you want to take a different twist or take a happy baby. Otherwise, just take your legs long and let your feet now fall out to the side and let everything go. And just observe, just be the witness. See what is illuminated. Just see what is illuminated, what might feel different. Continue to let your breath soften. So inhale into a soft belly. And exhale, release. We talked a few classes ago about how everything has a rhythm of arising and abiding and dissolving. And whatever you're feeling today and or this week and the current situation that we're all in, remember that there's an arising, there's an abiding, and there will be a dissolving. So we don't want to be in too much of a hurry to try to figure out what the source is and try to make it disappear. Just let it be. Keep the sun of your awareness shining. You could bring your hands back to your heart center now and just name the things that you are grateful for today. That helps us keep our perspective. I'm grateful for your presence because it gives me the opportunity to have purpose and to serve in the world. So thank you for being here. And when you're ready, you can come to your seat. You can stay in Shavasana as long as you like. Bring the hands together in a gesture of prayer that feels right for you. May the merit of our practice, the purpose of our practice, is to really illuminate and have the brilliance, the hidden brilliance that lies within us all, be illuminated. So may the merit of our practice encourage all beings, to realize this brilliance and let it illuminate and shine. Thank you. Namaste.